Today I'm going to talk to you about informal assessments. Informal assessments are assessments that we use every day. These assessments help us gather data on students. When we use these assessments, we are able to compile data in an organized way. There are often appropriate times for different assessments. Some of the assessments that I have used in my classroom for many years are running records, portfolio, checklists, and anecdotal records. The first assessment I'm going to talk about is running records. Oftentimes, I would use running records to identify a child's reading behavior or to identify a child's behavior in a classroom setting. We did running records fairly often in our class as a first grade teachers, and I would often like to use the app Record of Reading. This is a free app that you can use to take notes on a student's reading behaviors. Another running records site that is new to our district is RazKids. RazKids is connected to Reading A to Z, and it allows teachers to take running records of students' reading. Advantages of both of these would be that they are both easy to use. These apps are very easy to use as far as they require minimal training for teachers. Students are familiar with the process of teachers taking notes on iPads, so this is not a distraction to the students while they're reading to us. Some of the disadvantages of using these apps might be that it might be difficult if the internet connection is down. It would be hard for us to conduct an informal assessment if we have no internet connection. Sometimes it's hard to print from our iPads. If we would like a paper copy to share with parents or to bring to meetings, it is often difficult as our school does not allow us to print from our iPads. And finally, our handwritten notes on the iPads are not usually as nice as what we use as far as pen and paper. So oftentimes our handwritten notes on an iPad may be difficult for someone else to read. The next informal assessment that I like to use is the portfolio. A portfolio I used as a collection of students' work, and I also used it to show the progression of skills across a long period of time. A new app that we are starting to use is the Seesaw app. This is a free app that makes a student's portfolio into a digital portfolio. Another idea that I saw was to use Google Drive to take pictures of different artifacts and upload it into Google Drive, with students creating different folders for each grade level. This would allow them to use this digital portfolio across all of their years here at school. Some of the advantages of these apps might be that students can keep their work over many years. Oftentimes, after first grade, I send their portfolio home, and they aren't able to keep it over multiple years. Also, it's very user-friendly for elementary students, which is always important for us to consider when we are looking at different assistive technology. Parents are easily able to connect to these programs. They're familiar with these programs, and they're able to access them with ease. And also, another advantage would be that we don't need to continue to keep paper files of all of the students' work. Some of the disadvantages of using a digital portfolio might be if something happens to the app or we lose all of the work samples, then we have difficulty recovering them. We also found that it's really effective in schools that are one-to-one or close to one-to-one to allow students the ability to access their digital portfolio at any time. Also, it's difficult for parents to access without internet connection at home. The next informal assessment that I have used is a checklist. A checklist is an easy way to identify what a child knows and does not know in a setting such as guided reading, either in a small group setting or any type of whole group instruction time. Oftentimes I would use checklists during as an exit flip to be able to gauge what the students know and do not know. I found some that might be interesting for the students to use, and that would be either Google Forms or Google Sheets. Some of the advantages might be that they compile data into one area. It's easily able to sort students and their behaviors, and it's also easily able to share information with others, such as teachers or parents. Some of the disadvantages of using a checklist with technology might be that it's not always faster than our handwritten notes. Oftentimes we can quickly go through and check it off. It might take some teachers longer to do that on Google Forms or using Google Sheets. It can be time-consuming when teachers are required to set up the form or the sheets rather than using a paper and pencil check-off sheet. And checklists are often hard to elaborate. It's either they know the skill or they don't, but there's oftentimes not a lot of examples or explanations that go with that skill. The last is anecdotal notes. Anecdotal notes provide us with written facts about a child's behavior in the classroom, and also provides us with written facts about a child's behavior in a small reading group. And it also demonstrates how a child learns either in a small math group or a pull-out section. Another option to use anecdotal notes would be Google Sheets or Google Forms. The advantages of using these is that the information is easily accessible to all students. The information is compiled into one area, and all information can be accessed from any device. Some of the disadvantages is that it can often have difficulty taking notes on more than one student at a time. Usually a lot of typing is required in order to record the behaviors, and we need to access the internet at all times, and sometimes that can be difficult. In conclusion, informal assessments are great assessments to use throughout your teaching day. They help us gather information about our students instead of waiting until the end of a summative assessment. It's also important to remember that collecting our students' work and checking in with them daily so we're able to understand what our students have mastered and what they still need to use as reteaching. And finally, informal assessments are easy and usually quick to perform, and the results are extremely valuable.